This thing on? Looks like it. It feels like I closed my eyes and then I opened them again, and it was December. I don't know what that is, but like these months just keep clicking by. It's been a really crazy year, and it's finishing as crazy as it started. I can't believe it's already December. I'm still not coming to terms with that. And the market is weird. The market's crazy. People keep asking me, um, what's going on out there? Is the market still hot? It is. We're selling summer levels of sales, like over 2,100 sales last month, and winter levels of supply. So people are still buying. People are still eager to buy property in Calgary, um, and there's just not a lot to choose from right now. So that's driving up prices and um, putting a lot of pressure on the market. So it's a seller's market. It's very much a seller's market in Calgary. So I'm back here with my hot take market update. Um, I like to just shoot this off the cuff, ad-libbed. I prepare, some rudimentary notes, but this is my preference to just give it to you live like this. Um, let's get right into it. If we look at our overall market picture, these are starting to look familiar to you now. You've got the red bars are your sales. The gray bars are your inventory. The white line is the benchmark price. So the price continues to go up. The inventory is dropping fast. Like you see it peaked in June, around 7,000 units. And we're down to we're just under 4,000 as of now. And the sales are still steady. The sales are as high as they were in July, August, and September. It's like hot months. So people keep buying. Normally this time of the year, it slows down and people are looking to buy a home and move over Christmas and New Year's, but not this year. They're still buying, and there's less and less for them to buy. So you look at the gap between the inventory and the sales, and that's just closing. It's getting tighter and tighter. So it's getting harder to buy stuff. If you're looking to buy right now, you need a really sharp buyer's agent. I can recommend one for you who is ready on short notice, who knows what you're looking for, that can set up an automatic search portal for you, find good matches, that can solicit other realtors and reach into their network to find pre-market deals or off-market deals or coming soon deals. Someone that's resourceful and someone who's responsive and can act on short notice. I tell my clients right now that are buying, if you see something you like, we're going today. And if it looks good and if it's priced right, we're writing an offer tonight. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. And for sellers, you need an agent that knows how to maximize this extra leverage that you've got. I can recommend a guy for that too. You need someone that knows how to set up a pricing strategy and how to present your listing and how to present offers and get you the most out of that. So anyways, crazy market. If we look at the different segments, I'll start with apartments. So apartments are their own market in Calgary. Okay, like as hot as everything is, everything except apartments are hot. Apartments are still a buyer's market. Everything else is a seller's market. Every other category of home. So apartments, 1,416 of those on the market. That's down from this time last year. 332 sales. That's pretty good. Up 58% from November of last year. So people are still buying apartments, but there's still a lot more sellers than buyers. New listings, 461 more apartments went on the market last month. So the inventory is growing, right? We're not selling enough to replace. We're listing more than we sell. Okay, the price is coming up a little bit. This is compared to last year, 285. That fluctuates pretty rapidly. That bounces between like 250 and 290, depending on the types of apartments that are selling. Because every once in a while, keep in mind this is not the benchmark price. The benchmark I think is Yeah, 251 is the benchmark price. But the average price that can get pulled up with a few big, penthouse sales and some nicer apartments selling. 69 days on market, that's down. That's good news. So on average, it takes 69 days to sell an apartment. And sold price versus list price, about 96%, up from this time last year. So people that are listing an apartment on average are getting 96% of what they asked. If we look at sort of the trend line for that, you can see compared to the overall market, there's a way bigger gap here. There's lots of inventory. Prices are pretty flat, not really going anywhere. So this is a buyer's market. So if you've been thinking about an apartment, they're cheap and there's a lot to pick from. I'm working with some clients that are buying apartments, and we can look at a lot. We can be picky. We're not under pressure to be able to, go look at it the day it's listed and write an offer that night. You're not under that pressure. You have all the cards as a buyer for those apartments. If you're selling those apartments, you got to be aggressive. You got to be priced really sharp. Your apartment has to look really good and be freshly painted and staged, and anything you can do to give an advantage. Sometimes you go into a building. I've done this with my clients, and there's several units in that building that are for sale, all with different sellers. So you got to be really sharp. You got to be aggressive, because if there's 6 apartments in your building, the same configuration, that are for sale, like why is someone going to buy yours? So if you don't have to sell your apartment right now, don't. But if you do, if you want to move it, you gotta be aggressive. If we look at row homes, now row homes are a pretty exciting product right now, because they're not under as much pressure for supply as like the semi-detached and the detached homes. There is adequate supply for these. So for example, 664 of those on the market. We sold 321 last month. 304 new listings added. So now sales to new listings is still above 100%, which puts it in a seller's market. But there's still some choice out there. Prices are going up. Most of these sell in the lower end, under 400 grand. And for a lot of people, it's for a little more money than an apartment. It's a good alternative, where sometimes you have a garage, or you have just more space. You have 2 levels and a basement usually. So sold price versus list price, over 100%. So those have seen some nice gains where, I own one in Evanston, and I've watched it go way down in price over the last bunch of years, and then recover all that. So good time to be selling your row home if you've been sitting on it for a while. Maybe you put a tenant in there to just try to cover because you couldn't afford to get rid of it 3-4 years ago. Well, now prices have come back, and maybe you want to call me and think about putting that on the market. 46 days on the market on average. Those are moving. I mean, you got to fight a little bit to get some of those too. Not so much as in your detached and semi-detached, but still for sure seller's market. If I look at the trend line on row homes, again, you can see the sales had a nice bump, that red bar, and the inventory came down. So that benchmark price is pretty flat, but we'll see that start to creep up as well. If we get into semi-detached, another really hot market. This semi-detached gives you an opportunity to, sometimes to live in the inner city or in a better community for similar money as a detached in a less desirable community. You don't have the downsides of a condo or a townhouse, where you're paying into condo fees and that sort of thing. You just have one shared wall. So it's a really good compromise for a lot of people. And there's some really nice stuff out there. And what's interesting about semi-detached, Krebs noted that most of the sales are in the 300 to 400,000 range. So these are, a cheap alternative a lot of times to a detached home. But semi-detached homes priced above 700,000 now represent over 20% of that market. So these are like your inner city infills, and a lot of them are really, really nice. I looked at a few today, in Altadore and Killarney, and you can get into a beautiful home for, 600-700K, that if that were a detached home, it might be more like 900 or $1 million. So good bang for your buck in those. 316 of those sold last month. Sorry, 211 sold last month, 316 on the market, just 172 new listings. Tight inventory on those, not a lot to choose from. Average price 500 grand. 49 days on market, 97%. And if we look at the trend line on those, pretty dramatic shift there, right? Where you see that inventory shrink down to where, you know, the sales, where I can barely keep up with the sales. You know, look, compared to July, where we had a massive amount of inventory. We sold as many as we did in July and August and September, but with so fewer to choose from. So that's always going to bring your prices up, right? And my last category is detached homes. And super hot. Everybody wants a detached home right now. Benchmark price is up to 542. The average price last month was 586 almost. So it's really flying up. It's hard to find a detached home in a good neighborhood under 500K. You find anything in the 400s that they sell right away and often multiple offers. So you got to really have your finger on the trigger for those. Interestingly though, what does Krebs say? Detached homes above 600,000 now reflect nearly 31% of all sales. So they attribute that to more choice in the upper end of the market. So people can't find what they're looking for under 600. There's some more choices above 600, and more of those are saying 30% of the detached homes sold over 600K. So 1,500 of those on the market, way down. 1,246 sold, and only 1,052 new listings. So you can see if that trend kept up, you know, we sold 200 more than were added to the market. With only 1,500 on there, 6 or 7 months, there'd be nothing left. So the supply really needs to catch up with that. And I know builders are going as fast as they can, but with supply chain issues and having trouble getting materials and even appliances and switches and wiring and all that sort of thing, everything is slow right now, and that means there's just less supply to feed that demand, and the demand is as strong as it's ever been. I mean, last month was just missed the all-time record for a November. So prices are up, days on market are down. Now here's the thing too, if you overprice your detached home, it's still not going to sell. I mean, you still need to get the price right, but it's come up, and if you price it right, it's going right away. So that's detached. That's the hottest segment as usual. And to show you the trend on there, you can see how dramatic this plays out. I always say to mind that gap between the red bar and the gray bar, and we've just eaten up all the inventory. There's nothing to sell. So if you've been thinking of selling your detached home, and you're thinking, well, I'll wait for the spring market. The spring market's always better. If I'm in that situation right now, I wouldn't wait. I would get it up now because it's going to sell immediately, and you're going to get good money for it because there's so little selection out there. People are starving. Like I know myself and many of my colleagues working with buyers looking for something, and we're calling each other and messaging each other constantly. Hey, you got anything in Airdrie for under 500? Like nobody has anything. So the stuff that comes up, if it looks good, if it's priced right, it's sold right now. Really crazy market. And I threw this in. I always throw this in at the end. You want to see a really crazy market. This is what Airdrie looks like. I live in Airdrie, so this is important to me. But 137 homes on the market. That's across every category: apartments, townhouses, duplexes, and houses. Only 137 to choose from. The city's like 75,000 people. 144 sold last month, only 106 new listings added. So they're just getting eaten up. I've got buyers that are trying to buy stuff in Airdrie, and it's really hard to find something. Benchmark price of $395 and 0.95 months of supply. So I mean, a couple more months of this, and there's nothing, literally nothing in Airdrie. So the market is like this, this rubber band. And it's just being stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched. It feels like it's just ready to pop. But the good news is there's still lots of room to grow. We're not in a bubble situation. We're looking at fairly sustainable, balanced conditions. I mean, it is a seller's market, but they're calling for 10% increase in sales over next year. So it's still a good time to buy. You're not buying in at the peak of some bubble or whatever. There's lots of room for this to go up. Lots of people want to live in Calgary, and I'm getting calls all the time from Ontario and the East Coast and all parts of Canada. I just sold to someone from Winnipeg the other day, and just more and more of that happening. So it's a good time to be in Calgary. It's tough to buy, but even if you buy now, you're on the way up, and the market's crazy. So this is my last one of these for this year. No, it's not. I got one more. This is technically November's number, so I'll be back here with a December market report in the new year. And until then, look forward to hearing from you.